When Jesus speaks, old rules meet new life. His words don't just challenge traditions, they invite us into a living, breathing relationship with God. In the presence of Christ, the boundaries of what we thought we knew are stretched, and the familiar is transformed. He doesn't simply add a new layer to our routines, he offers a whole new way of being, one that is vibrant, joyful, and deeply personal. The people around Jesus were puzzled. "Why do we and the Pharisees fast much, but your disciples do not fast?" they asked. Their question was honest, rooted in a desire to honor God but also in a longing for clarity. They wanted to know why Jesus' followers seemed to break from the expected patterns of devotion. Jesus answered with a picture everyone could understand. Can the wedding guests mourn as long as the bridegroom is with them? Imagine the joy of a wedding feast, the laughter, the music, the sense of togetherness. In those moments, sorrow has no place. Jesus is saying, "I am here. This is a time for celebration, not for mourning." He continues with another image. No one patches an old cloak with a piece of unshrunken cloth. If you try to fix something worn out with something new, the result is often worse than before. The new patch pulls away, making the tear even bigger. And then, people do not put new wine into old wineskins. That's from Matthew 9:14-17. New wine, still fermenting and expanding, would burst the old brittle skins. The wine would be lost and the skins ruined. Jesus is painting a vivid picture of what happens when we try to contain his new life within our old, rigid ways. Fasting in Jesus' day was a sign of longing and lament, a way to express deep need for God. Yet Jesus likens his coming to a wedding banquet, a time of abundance and joy. He's not dismissing fasting, but reframing it. When he is present, the appropriate response is celebration, not sorrow. While the bridegroom is here, my heart is meant to overflow, not with sorrow, but with joy. The presence of Christ transforms the atmosphere. It's as if the air itself is charged with hope and possibility. In his presence, the rules of old fade, and festive freedom replaces empty rituals. The invitation is to dance, to celebrate, to let go of burdensome traditions that no longer bring life. In seasons of grace, I celebrate Christ's nearness, rather than dwell on what I lack. I'm invited to savor the gifts of today, to notice the ways God is already at work, and to respond with gratitude. But Jesus goes deeper. He warns against patching fresh fabric onto an old coat. He's not interested in surface-level fixes or temporary solutions. He wants to give us something entirely new. If I try to simply fix up my faith by adding something new to what's already worn out, the tear only worsens. The old and the new can't coexist without tension. Eventually, the strain will show. His new way isn't about quick fixes or clinging to what's familiar. It's about letting go, releasing what no longer serves, and stepping into the unknown with trust. Authentic faith calls for a heart open to change, not rigid routines. It's a willingness to be stretched, to be made new, even when it feels uncomfortable. And then, the image of new wine and old wineskins. Jesus' teaching is radical. He's not just tweaking the old system. He's ushering in a new era. New wine bursts old skins. The energy, the life, the movement of God's Spirit can't be contained by outdated forms or mindsets. Christ's mercy, healing, and joy are just too abundant for worn vessels. His love overflows, spilling out beyond the boundaries we try to set. If I cling to stale habits or old ways of thinking, I risk missing all the newness God wants to pour into my life. The comfort of the familiar can keep me from experiencing the adventure of faith. So I'm called, to release spiritual inertia and embrace Spirit-led renewal. It's a call to courage, to step forward even when I'm unsure of what's ahead. That's how Christ's fullness is received and shared. When I open myself to his newness, I become a vessel that can pour out love, hope, and joy to others. So what does this look like for me and maybe for you? It's not just about big, dramatic changes. Sometimes it's the small daily choices that make room for God's new wine. This week, I'll look for one old wineskin in my life. Maybe it's a stale prayer routine, a fixed mindset, or a worn ministry approach. I'll ask God to show me where I've grown rigid, where I need to be softened and renewed. I'll pray for courage, and then take one concrete step toward renewal. Maybe it's a spontaneous act of kindness, a new way of serving, or simply being present with someone who needs encouragement. Maybe it's trying a new devotional practice or reaching out to someone in need. Spot the old wineskin, pray for courage. Take one fresh step. Each small act of faith creates space for God's Spirit to move. Christ calls me into newness. He invites me to step through the open door, to breathe in the fresh air of his presence, and to trust that what he offers is better than anything I leave behind. Will I open my heart to his fresh wine today? Will I let go of what's comfortable and receive the joy He longs to pour into my life? Subscribe for more reflections and share how you're refreshing your wineskin. Let's journey together, embracing the newness Christ brings and celebrating the joy of His presence in every season.